He wakes up every single morning way before sunrise, not because he wants to, but because rent depends on it. He buys cheap pineapple from the wholesale truck that arrives before the city wakes. He pushes his rusty cart to the same public market corner he has stood in for 9 straight years. His hands smell like fruit acid permanently. People walk fast. Everyone is busy. Nobody ever looks him in the eyes. In his life, he has always been treated like a ghost that exists but has no presence. When he hums while slicing pineapple, that is the only moment he feels alive. Music is the one luxury he never gave up on, even though life never rewarded him for it a single time. One random day, he sings Whitney Houston quietly while cutting fruit and a tourist filming local street life hears him accidentally. The tourist stops recording the fruit market B-roll and starts recording him. He is not showing off, he is not performing for followers, he is just trying to survive another day. The tourist uploads the video thinking maybe a couple thousand views. The video goes viral globally instead. American TikTok algorithm slams it on people's FYP like a nuclear shockwave. Comments start piling like a war storm. Everyone is saying this is not normal, this is special. The internet starts tagging AGT, BGT, Simon Cowell, random producers, talent agencies, thousands and thousands. Meanwhile, he knows none of this is happening. He is still pushing his cart, still counting coins, still worried about if he can afford rice tomorrow. Fake agents smell blood immediately. His DM starts filling with scams instantly. Fake contracts, fake promises, MLM-type managers pretending to have connections in Hollywood. His mother tells him to ignore all of them. She cries because she actually always knew he had something inside him, but poverty always suffocated whatever spark he had. He keeps telling himself it's probably all temporary. Viral attention always dies. Nothing ever stays good for people like him. Life taught him every good moment expires fast and every bad moment stays forever. Then one single email arrives that changes the entire DNA of his destiny. It is from Actual Got Talent official casting department. He thinks it is scam. He asks help from a teacher in his neighborhood to verify. It is real. They want him. They want him on the actual show. The moment he prints that email, holding that paper in his hand, that paper becomes more valuable than every peso coin he earned this month combined. He sits on the side of the road and cries where nobody can see him. He is crying not because he is weak, but because this is maybe the first time the universe told him, "You matter." He goes home and tells his mother. She collapses in tears. Their small little crowded rented room suddenly feels like a palace. For the first time in their life, Hope walked inside that room. He has never been on a plane. He has never left Philippines. Even the idea of international travel feels like a movie impossible to enter. He doesn't know how to use airport digital screens, he doesn't understand boarding gate changes, he doesn't know the rules of security screening. That anxiety is heavy but the purpose inside him is heavier. When he finally sits on the airplane, the moment the engine power rises and the aircraft rotates and lifts off the ground, he feels like the earth physically let go of him for the first time. He stares out the window and sees clouds from above. He whispers to himself, "This is where God keeps hope." Landing in America is overwhelming. The air feels different. The silence of the airport feels different. He is surrounded by people who look confident, powerful, stable, educated, stylish. He feels like he is a misfit, like he doesn't belong here, like security will remove him any minute for being not rich enough to exist here. He rehearses random English sentences in his head so he doesn't embarrass himself in front of the judges. He is terrified but this fear is mixed with a new chemical he never tasted before, belief. When he enters the AGT stage, he looks like a man who life crushed but somehow never killed. The judges look at him. The audience looks at him. Simon specifically looks directly into his trauma. Simon reads him instantly and feels something he doesn't feel every day. This is not a gimmick audition. This is someone whose soul is starving. He introduces himself in broken English. He apologizes for his English every 3 sentences. He stands there like someone who cannot believe this is real. When the music starts and he closes his eyes, this is the moment his entire life has been building toward. Every humiliation, every ignored day, every cheap pineapple cut, every tear he never showed, every rejection became fuel. He is not singing for attention. He is singing because this is the only way he ever survived life. And now the entire world is about to hear it. The very second the track starts playing, the entire room becomes oxygen tight. Nobody is texting, nobody is whispering, nobody is moving. His hands are shaking like a man holding a grenade with no pin. He lifts the mic with both hands because he doesn't trust his fingers to be strong enough to hold it stable. The intro beat hits slow and then his voice cracks on the first note, but in a beautiful broken way. It is not a trained pop karaoke power vocal. It is the sound of a man who has been drowning his whole life, finally coming up for air for the first time in years. People lean forward instead of back. Simon freezes, his eyes widen a little, like his inner radar just locked onto something extremely rare, the thing he searches for his entire career, raw, unmanufactured soul that cannot be recreated. As the song progresses, the technical side of his voice starts becoming visible. His control keeps surprising everybody. He can float light like a whisper and then instantly slam a powerful belt like a war siren. Every single time he hits a run, it doesn't feel like vocal flexing. It feels like his soul is releasing trauma that no therapy, no medication, no church session ever healed. The audience is slowly getting emotionally hijacked. His pain becomes contagious. Heidi covers her mouth. Sophia's eyes glass up. People are literally holding their breath because this doesn't feel like an audition. This feels like a man unloading everything he carried in silence since childhood. When he looks up near the chorus and his voice goes into that painful lift, the entire room feels like they are watching someone open a locked jail door from the inside. He wasn't performing for fame. He was performing because this was the first time in history someone finally gave him permission to be seen as a human being with a voice and value. Simon is trying to stay logical and judge-based, but his eyes keep softening more and more. He is holding tears the same way someone tries to hold dam water from exploding. When the last note comes, he pushes his full soul into it like this is his one single shot in life. When the note finishes, he doesn't react like most contestants do. He doesn't cheer. He doesn't smile. He just looks scared. He thinks he messed up. He thinks he sang too emotional, too uncontrolled, too painful. The silence right after is heavy. Nobody speaks for a few seconds because the room is emotionally shocked. And that silence is actually the proof that he just delivered something extremely rare, the kind of performance that damages the audience emotionally in a good way. The type Simon talks about years later. Simon suddenly stands up before anyone can talk. He doesn't wait for panel discussion. He doesn't let other judges start. He walks toward the table edge, staring at the poor vendor like he is looking at a historical moment forming in real time. His voice tone changes. He tells him something that no rich music executive ever told this man before: "You are one of the greatest raw singers I have ever heard." This is not compliment. It is validation. It is rewriting his entire life narrative. The poor vendor shakes his head, tears fall immediately. He keeps apologizing because poor people are trained by life to apologize for existing. Simon stops him verbally. Simon tells him to not apologize for surviving. The crowd instantly erupts. Then, without hesitation, without committee talk, without commercial break suspense, Simon reaches forward and smashes the golden buzzer. The second Simon hits it, the room detonates. Confetti explodes from above like the universe is finally paying its debt. The judges jump up screaming. The crowd goes insane. The poor vendor collapses in pure disbelief. His knees give out. He falls into his own hands crying because this is the first time in his existence somebody in power gave him permission to win. Simon walks to the stage and hugs him. Not a TV fake hug. A human hug. Every single person watching understands they just witnessed a moment that will live forever in Got Talent history. This was not luck. This was destiny correcting itself. After that golden buzzer aired on live TV and then posted full clip on platforms, the world instantly flipped again. Every major Philippines page, every US Music Reactor channel, every Instagram edit page, every TikTok big voice community started extracting his moment like holy data. This was not a meme viral. This was a soul viral. He became trending topic in USA side, not just Philippines side. Random American suburban moms were duetting his clip crying. Old rock musicians were stitching it with respect. News articles came out titled "The Only Real Golden Buzzer of the Season So Far." Agents from Los Angeles emailed him. Asian American talent orgs started contacting production trying to represent him. Suddenly the same kind of people who ignored him his entire life now want a piece of him. His mother keeps telling him stay grounded, stay simple, don't let spotlight steal your original softness. But when big success hits someone who has lived 99% life in trauma, success can become a new trauma too. Because now he has pressure he never had before. Before, he could sing freely because nobody expected anything. Now he feels weight of entire country, entire poor class, every ignored Filipino who ever got treated invisible. He starts getting fear that this was his peak and what if he can't top it? What if Golden Buzzer was his only shot and the world already saw his best? That psychological fear alone keeps him awake at night. He watches his own clip over and over not because ego, but because he needs to convince himself that wasn't a dream. When rehearsals for semi-rounds start, every producer treats him like a serious contender. This is not novelty slot. This is not sob story throwaway insert. They know he has championship possibility. So now the decisions matter. Song choice, arrangement, emotional direction, dress styling, everything suddenly becomes strategy not survival. People want him to pick a safe Whitney Houston or safe power ballad to guarantee votes. But he struggles with the idea of repeating an emotional formula instead of becoming an actual artist. In the mirror, while practicing, he sees both versions of himself fighting, the scared street vendor who needs to secure income and the blooming artist who finally wants to express his own universe. Every night before he sleeps, he messages his mother videos of rehearsals. She tells him don't worry about impressing anybody. She tells him sing like you are singing to God not the judges. This is the only advice that penetrates his panic. When he goes back on that stage again, he feels more controlled, but also more pressure. He is aware millions are watching now, not curious, but expecting greatness. His voice becomes less about proving survival and more about building legacy. The world is no longer hearing a poor vendor pity story. They are now hearing a serious artist in development. Episode 5 ends not on fear, but on responsibility. This is no longer about one man. It's about the voice of every person who never had a stage. This is the final arc. The day before finals, he makes the boldest decision of his life. Instead of picking a global pop classic or showstopper anthem that judges always love, he decides to sing an original song he wrote himself. Broken grammar, broken structure, broken English, raw, unpolished, but 100% him. That choice is both insane and genius. Because this is the greatest artistic flex possible, showing the world your real story in your own words, not through a borrowed famous song. The judge's advisors warn him gently that originality risk is very high. But he tells them if he loses being honest, then he didn't actually win anything real anyway. Final performance night arrives. The stage lights dim and he steps into that center spotlight. The audience is already emotional before he even starts because they know they're watching history energy. When the first lyric of his original begins, it feels like reading a diary he never spoke out loud to anyone. The lyrics talk about eating once a day. The lyrics talk about humiliation of being ignored like trash. The lyrics talk about how singing saved his mind from collapsing. His voice is not technical perfection this time. His voice is spiritual confession. This is not a show anymore. This is a documentary moment disguised as a performance. Halfway through, the entire audience has tears in their eyes. Not because they feel sorry for him, but because they suddenly realize they see a reflection of themselves. That is the greatest type of art, when your pain becomes universal translation. Near the final chorus, when he takes the deep breath and stretches the final phrase, Simon tries holding but breaks. This is Simon Cowell crying on live TV, not shock tears, but respect tears. Because this man did the highest level art, turning trauma into beauty without hiding the trauma. When he finishes, there is no silence pause like before. This time the explosion is immediate. Standing ovation like a stadium-level roar. Judges are speechless. Simon stands, wipes his face, and tells him, "You just created one of the greatest Got Talent moments we have ever seen in any country, any year." The poor vendor doesn't celebrate loud. He just closes his eyes like a man who finally understands he didn't just chase a dream, he justified his existence. The world gave him 9 minutes of stage across the entire show, and he used those 9 minutes to rewrite his entire life forever.